Every single business has a hidden cost, a kind of silent drain on resources that you don't always see. Well, for one company, Advanced Digital Processing Analytics, we'll just call them ADPA, that cost was project failure. But they found a way to fight back using AI. And the story of how they're doing it is exactly what we're going to break down today.
But before we get into their solution, let's just frame the problem. Think about it in your own life or work for a second. What's the real cost of a mistake that you could have prevented? For a company like ADPA, that's not just some philosophical question. It's a multi-million-dollar reality check.
$2.1 million. That's the number. That's what ADPA figured out they were losing every single year just by sticking with their old-fashioned way of managing projects. A problem that big, it doesn't just need a quick fix, it needs a complete revolution.
So, how in the world does a number like that even happen? Well, it's not from one single catastrophic failure. It's more like a death by 1,000 cuts. It's a whole bunch of hidden costs that just pile up when you're trying to manage today's complex projects with yesterday's tools.
Let's break it down. A huge chunk of that, $1.2 million, was from lost productivity. We're talking about people just getting bogged down in manual work instead of doing the high-value stuff. Then you've got a potential $500,000 in compliance fines for not keeping up with global standards. And to top it all off, another $400,000 in lost revenue from projects that were just delayed for way too long.
And behind those big, scary numbers, this was what the day-to-day reality felt like. Risks were only being spotted after they had already caused a problem. Issues were sorted inefficiently, which meant everyone was in a constant stressful state of firefighting. And with all their data trapped in different siloed systems, a staggering 30% of all their projects were running late. So, to fight this multi-million-dollar problem, ADPA didn't just make a small change. They launched something huge. They call it the AI-Driven Risk Management Resolutions 2026 Initiative. And trust me, it's more than just a fancy name. It's a full-blown plan to change how they work from the ground up, all powered by AI.
And here's the real key. This isn't just about installing some new software. It's a total shift in mindset. It's about going from being reactive, waiting for fires to start and then running around to put them out, to being proactive. They're basically using AI to see into the future, to predict risks before they even happen, automate the boring stuff, and keep their projects right on track.
Okay, so an AI-powered solution sounds fantastic, right? But what does that actually mean? How does this thing really work under the hood? Well, the whole system is built on 4 core pillars, and each one is specifically designed to fix a part of their old, broken process.
So Pillar 1 is AI-driven risk management. It looks at past project data to predict problems before they even begin. Second, automated issue escalation. This makes sure the right people get alerted instantly, no more digging through emails. Third is AI-powered issue management, which helps cut through all the noise to find the real problems. And finally, resolution guidance, where the AI doesn't just tell you there's a problem, it actually helps you figure out how to solve it.
The before and after here is just night and day. Just imagine your team buried under a mountain of emails and chat messages, manually trying to find problems. Now, picture an AI using natural language processing to do all of that, automatically. It's categorizing and prioritizing issues with a speed and consistency that no human team could ever hope to match.
Okay, I know what you're probably thinking. A system this advanced, it sounds expensive, right? So what's the actual payoff here? Does all this high-tech wizardry actually deliver a return on investment? Let's take a look at the hard numbers.
The first huge projection is a 40% reduction in project disruptions. Think about that for a second. That means nearly half of all the delays, the emergencies, and the headaches that were constantly derailing their projects could just disappear. And what does that 40% reduction mean in real money? It translates directly into $840,000 in annual cost savings. That right there almost covers the entire cost of the project in just the first year. And the savings don't even stop there. By resolving issues faster, they save another $360,000 in operational costs. Delivering projects quicker actually creates $200,000 in new revenue. And of course, avoiding those hefty compliance penalties saves another $150,000. So you add it all up over 5 years, and the project is on track to deliver an absolutely incredible 180% return on investment. When you see numbers like that, switching to AI doesn't just seem like a good idea, it looks like a financial necessity.
When you factor in everything over time, This whole initiative is expected to be worth $3.2 million to the company. So this isn't just about fixing a problem. It's a major strategic investment that builds value for their future.
But honestly, the real story here is even bigger than just the money. It's about building a smarter, more responsible, and totally future-proof business. It's about not just keeping up with all the rules on governance and ethics, but actually getting ahead of the curve.
A huge piece of this whole project is making sure the AI system is completely compliant with all the major international standards. And that means everything from AI governance and data privacy, like Europe's GDPR, all the way to financial reporting rules, like the Sarbanes-Oxley Act in the US.
And this isn't just an ADPA thing, right? It's part of a massive global conversation. The European Data Protection Supervisor put it perfectly when they said, the goal is to identify and mitigate risks to protect data. That is exactly what ADPA is doing here, building a system that manages not just project risk, but technical and ethical risk all at the same time.
So to make sure this powerful AI is used responsibly, ADPA is building governance right into the system's DNA. They're setting up an AI ethics committee, they're making sure a human is always in the loop for the big decisions, and they're using something called explainable AI, or XAI, which means they can actually see how the machine is thinking, ensuring its logic is transparent and fair.
And that leaves us with a huge question, not just for ADPA, but for all of us. As AI gets more and more powerful, as it starts predicting and even shaping the future of business, who is ultimately responsible for its decisions? ADPA's journey shows us that building the technology is really only half the battle. Figuring out how to build the framework for responsibility around it, that's the real challenge ahead.